You're listening to the Weekend Sport Podcast with Jason Pine from News Talk ZB. Football Fever with News Talk ZB's voice of football, Jason Pine and Bonnie Jansen.
Yeah, welcome into Football Fever, first one of 2024. I'm Jason Pine. Bonnie Jansen's here too. How are you, Bonnie?
We're back, Piney. We're back.
Back for 2024. The ongoing survival and health of Football Fever is assured. We're only midway through the season, though, aren't we? So it's kind of natural that we're given the opportunity to continue to talk about the A-League men's and the A-League women's and other bits and pieces. I want to start with the men, if that's okay. Their last game was a 2-2 draw away at Adelaide, a place where the Phoenix have found it very difficult to get any sort of result historically. I think only 4 wins in 25 previous visits, only 8 times before the other night had they come away with any result at all at Cooper Stadium. It just seems to be a place that the Phoenix men have found it very, very difficult to get anything out of matches. Great game to watch. 2-2 draw. I think they'll probably take it, won't they?
Yeah, I think so. Considering the amount of shots that came against them from Adelaide, I think there was 28 compared to the Phoenix, which I don't think reached double digits. But yeah, I guess that's a good result considering that and you know, the first one of the new year and probably some tired legs as well and just getting back into the swing of things. Yeah,
it's a funny old time over the Christmas break. I mean, most of us are having a break. We're getting our shorts and jandals on. We're eating far too much, drinking far too much. I guess for professional footballers, I think they got Christmas Day off. But when everybody else is relaxing and the weather's beautiful for the most part, they're still training, they're still working. So it must be kind of hard to convince themselves to do another run around the field or another set of weights or stay away from the unhealthy stuff on the dinner table.
Oh, absolutely. It's a change of mindset, and especially for players that maybe this is their first season playing pro, and, you know, rather than going to festivals or things like that and, just eating and doing whatever you want, really, you can't do that. And, you know, I know a lot of teams were back training on New Year's Day at 8 a.m. So, definitely it's a weird thing to adjust to, but, good on them, I guess, for the show must go on.
Absolutely. Well, Cooper Stadium, even though it hasn't been a happy hunting ground for the Phoenix, it is a brilliant venue. You look around the league, and even in Wellington and Sky Stadium, we've talked about this often, even with 10,000 in there, you've still got 25,500 empty seats, so it's hard to generate the atmosphere. Cooper Stadium, a brilliant venue, blueprint, I reckon, for the A-League men's and women's. And if Auckland, the new Auckland franchise, are going to build a new stadium, we wait and see whether that actually happens. A rectangular 15,000 seat venue where the crowd are very, very close, a good surface, a great atmosphere. That's kind of what you want for the A-League, isn't it? You know, rather than these big cavernous stadiums like Sky Stadium, like Suncorp and others where that atmosphere is just so hard to generate.
Oh, absolutely. And it looks great as well. You know, you're watching through the TV and it looks like the stadium's full of people and, you know, you can't see the other side, but it's just incredible. And we need more intimate facilities like that because, it's game changing.
The game itself, Costa Barbarouses continues on this rich vein of form of his 6 goals in 4 games now. He got both of the goals in this 2-2 draw. I see he's been mentioned in discussions around the Johnny Warren medal and other accolades that are handed out during the A-League men's season. Costa's been terrific for Wellington, hasn't he?
So good. It took him a while to kind of get into his groove, but it's so promising. And, you know, Oscar Zavada hasn't really been there much when Barbarouses has been there, but when they're both back there together, it's very exciting for the Knicks. Yeah,
if you'd said, at this point in the season, a Phoenix player will have half a dozen goals, then, you'd say, okay, well, that'll be Oscar Zavada. Clearly, he's been out injured and got that hat-trick early in the season, and when he returns, he'll no doubt return to his goal-scoring ways. But for Costa to, I'm not saying take on that load, but just be in goal-scoring position so often in the last 4 games has been just excellent. It makes me wonder what Oscar Zavada's role to play will be when he does return from this injury, because at the moment, they've changed the way they're playing. Oscar Zavada was a focal point for this team last year. He was the main man as far as goals were concerned, but without him, they've had to kind of cut their cloth to suit. I just wonder what Oscar Zavada's role to play in this team will be when he makes it back.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, on his track record, you have to find a spot for him, right? Unless he is underperforming, which he hasn't been. He's obviously not been there. You have to find a place for him in the team. And I think, the Chiefy and the staff would be excited about what him and Barbarouses could do together. So I see him kind of fitting back into the team nicely, but when that will be and where, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, we haven't had any definitive answer really about when he may be back in contention. It seems to be a week-to-week proposition, but let's hope that at some stage he is fit, even if it's an impact role initially. I mean, imagine being able to bring Oscar Zavada off the bench. It's to change the game. It's a pretty appealing proposition. A couple of other players I want to mention. Ben Old. Now, it took him a while to make the starting lineup, but in the last 3 or 4 games, he has been just absolutely terrific. I don't think I've seen Ben Old play as well as he has, and yes, he's still very early in his career, but for me now, Ben Old's one of the first guys you write down in the starting 11. Oh,
absolutely, and I think I've said it before on this podcast, but he's going to be a star for the All Whites at the Olympics. It's super exciting, or the Ollie Whites rather. It's super exciting, and he's kind of giving Sarpreet Singh vibes when he was kind of up and coming for the Wellington Phoenix. And yeah, I'm just so stoked for him that he's bided his time and worked his way into that spot, and he's now cemented it. Good on him.
He just seems so unencumbered as well, and he even said that after one game, I think it was after the Western Sydney Wanderers game when he got that late goal to make it 2-0, and he was asked by the post-match panel about his good form, and he said, look, I just feel like I'm allowed to dribble with the ball. I'm allowed to do things. I'm allowed to be a bit freer in the way that I play, and I think that says a lot about the tactics and the style of Giancarlo Italiano and what he's allowing Ben Old to do. Interested to get your thoughts on the left-back position. Lucas Kelly-Heald had that role for the first half a dozen, in fact, I think 8 games of the season. Sam Sutton then came into the starting lineup. The other night against Adelaide, it was Lucas Kelly-Heald again who started, and actually at the other end of the pitch provided the header back across goal that saw Costa open the scoring. Who do you think the first choice left-back is for this team?
I honestly don't know, but I feel like maybe it's a game-by-game basis, and it's depends on who the opposition, right? Like if you want someone more attacking, maybe you do go with Lucas Kelly-Heald because, we just saw he provided that assist on the weekend, but maybe otherwise you go with Sam Sutton if you want someone more sturdy and has a bit more experience. It's a real tricky one, but again, a good problem to have.
And that's interesting you say that because game by game, because I thought in this Adelaide game with Nestori Irankunda, this absolute firebrand 17-year-old, one of the most exciting players ever to come out of the A-League men's in the Adelaide side, attacking down their right, Wellington's left, I thought they'd go with Sam Sutton. I thought they'd go with a more experienced player, probably a quicker player, but they went with Lucas Kelly-Heald, and to be fair, Irankunda ran at him a lot and set up the second goal by just breezing past Lucas Kelly-Heald, although to be fair, I don't think it would have mattered who it was there at left back when he set up that second goal. But yeah, I thought they would go with Sutton. I think you're probably right. I think from week to week, they'll look at the opposition and say, right, okay, who's best suited here as far as the left-back position is concerned. Adelaide went down to 10 men with about 7 minutes to go in regulation time. Chiefy said afterwards he thought they should have gone on to win the game with the numerical advantage. Nicholas Pennington hitting the post with a header. Sutton had a volley right at the end with the last kick of the game, basically. But I guess they'll come away pretty happy with a point. They dropped down to second on the table with Melbourne Victory beating Perth Glory, but they're still in pretty good shape, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so, and I think we're lucky that they had such a good start to the season that we can be okay with these draws and minor losses. They've they've earned their spot at the top. So yeah, not too worried, but I hope it's not the start of something in the new year, and it's just going to be all downhill from here.
Yeah, I don't think it will be. Perth Glory next Sunday night, part of Unite Round with every men's and women's team in Sydney for the weekend. Then Melbourne victory at home the following Friday. Depending on the results this weekend, that could be a top of the table clash, 1v2 at Sky Stadium. So one to really look forward to the next time the Phoenix play a home game in the A-League men's.
Football Fever, powered by News Talk ZB.
Let's go to the women. A 2-1 loss to Brisbane at Perry Park. The big talking point here, Bonnie, was the penalty missed at the end by the officials. With 3 minutes to go, a blatant handball on the goal line by a Brisbane player, missed by both the referee and the assistant referee on the near side as we were watching it on TV. Afterwards, Paul Temple calling for VAR in the A-League Women's. If there was VAR, then that is certainly given as a penalty. What did you make of it?
It's just shocking. I think, we'll get more on the game and the performance later on, but that is a game-changing opportunity, right? And if her hand didn't stop the ball was going in the net, and I agree with Paul Temple. It's a real shame there's no VAR yet in the women's game, and it's pretty upsetting that, things like this are costing teams, and it's not ideal at all.
The officials should pick that up though, right? I mean, the referee's right there. She should pick that up.
Oh, yeah. I just don't know how that's been missed, honestly. It's a joke. Like, I don't even know what else to say. Anyone that sees that Brisbane Roar will be so happy that they got away with that. But yeah, it's shocking.
I guess what it does do though is, you can't just say, okay, well, if they'd given the penalty and the Phoenix had scored it 2-2 draw, everything's fine. Because I think again, the Phoenix were below par, and this seems to be a problem away from home. I don't know what you thought about their performance.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think obviously we can get into that penalty and being like, hey, we should have come away with a draw, but they didn't find themselves in a position almost to earn that draw because, their performance wasn't great. That goal given, I guess, by that mistake by Riley Foster, it's kind of worrying. This team has kind of gone downhill after they've lost those 3 key players.
Yeah, I've got here, are they in a bit of a rut? Just 1 win in their last 5. That was after they won 4 of their first 6 games. Their away form has been really quite average. Just the 1 win and 4 losses away. That's compared to 4 wins, a draw, and 1 loss at home. All 4 away defeats, though, have only been by a 1-goal margin. So it's not like they're getting on the road and getting absolutely smashed by teams when they travel across the Tasman. But do they feel to you like they're in a bit of a rut at the moment?
I think so. And, we saw that with the we could put that down to the transition, right? When they lost their 3 key players and they've had, I guess, quite a few new players come in who, have been great. Isabel Cox, she scored last night. But, I don't know what's going on with them. We don't need to panic yet because they are still quite high up on the table and they've earned that position from their unbelievable start. But something's going to have to change, and it's finishing those key moments. There's been quite a few on goal that they've one-on-ones with the keeper. There was one last night with Michaela Robertson, and there's been quite a few with Mariana Speckmeyer that they need to be finishing, and something's going to have to change, and fingers crossed they can pull through.
Yeah, I thought Isabel Cox was good. I'm pleased she got the start and got the goal as well. She looks like a good player and one that will feature prominently for the team in the second half of the season. Yeah, the Riley Foster mistake for the second goal. She made a pretty high profile mistake against Adelaide before the turn of the year when a relatively innocuous free kick from the sideline, went over her head and straight into the goal. But this one last night, the more you look at it, the worse it looks. I just don't know what she's trying to do with the ball on the edge of her own penalty area. She ends up doing nothing but presenting it to the Brisbane player, Tamiki Yallop, who's always going to finish from there.
Yeah, no, it's not good enough, frankly, especially with, she's one of our visa players coming in. She's one of the arguably the most experienced player. And it's a couple of mistakes now, as you mentioned. And maybe it is a chance to give Brianna Edwards a shot and goal. She's in the football ferns, Brianna Edwards. She had a great season last year for the Knicks, and maybe we should start seeing more of her. Yes, these are the visa players coming in, but I would like to see Paul Temple be a bit more brave and not feel a need to have to play them just because they've come from overseas. I don't know if that's too harsh to say, but I'd like to see Brianna Edwards get more time and goal.
Yeah, I think they're all in on Riley Foster, aren't they? They made that the decision pre-season. I think I said it's the second goal. It was Brisbane's first goal, obviously, last night, the one that brought them back level. But, yeah, Brianna Edwards, you look around the league and you think, well, she's probably the best reserve goalkeeper in the league. As you say, she's been called into the football ferns. She did everything that was really expected of her last season when Lily Elfeld was out. I'm not quite sure how the change is made. And you're right, if you're an import in any position, you kind of have to be playing at a level above everybody else, almost to justify your position, if that makes sense. Not saying that those, import players are, should be exempt from ever being dropped or anything like that. But I think they do have to provide a level above the local players, almost to justify the fact that they're there as imports. The Phoenix women, as you say, it's not terminal, and really, in many ways, Bonnie, the fact that we're talking about them, being disappointing and they're still fourth on the table, given the fact that, the last couple of years they've been way down the other end, is probably just an indication of how far this team has come. They play the Mariners, who are 10th next, and in a couple of weeks they play Canberra, who are bottom of the table, and amongst that, of course, they've got to take on Melbourne City, who are the league leaders. A chance to refine some form, though, against the likes of the Mariners and Canberra?
Yeah, I think so, and it's quite funny that you mentioned that, the fact that we're actually critiquing both of these teams this year, really. I'm going to reference Coco Gauff, the American tennis player, who said it last night after her ASB Classic win, but she said when you're at the top, everyone finds things that are wrong with you. When you're at the bottom, it's like, oh, great pass, and they seek out all the positives. So, it's great that we're talking about the Wellington Phoenix, both men's and women's teams, and finding the errors, because I think that's only a positive. But yes, I hope that we can get 6 points from these next two games. All
right, good bit of cross-coding there, Bonnie, on the podcast. Bit of tennis into the football. Yeah, I don't mind it. I know you spent a bit of time courtside enjoying some hospitality. Saw you on TV a couple of times. You seem to be enjoying yourself.
Yeah. Hope the listeners of Football Fever don't mind a bit of cross-coding, but you and I love all sports, so there you go.
Football Fever on iHeartRadio.
Let's just finish with a couple of bits and pieces. I want to give a shout out, I know you do, to Devon Jackson, the one-cap football fern who scored her first goal for Canberra. Good friend of yours. You would have been delighted to see her streak away from about halfway and finish with some aplomb the other day.
Oh, it was so good. And yes, as you mentioned, she's a good friend of mine and just really stoked for her. I think she's definitely going to be one to watch in this Olympic year without being too biased. She's a great player and a good finisher, so I'm glad she's getting some opportunities with Canberra, and she's started the last 3 games, and great goal she scored on the weekend.
Good finish. Yeah, good finish. I mean, and you look back and you think, she might have thought about squaring it, but it felt like she only had one thing in her mind, and that was to go for goal. And I guess when you are looking for your first goal for your still relatively new club, you might perhaps have it in your mind that when that opportunity presents itself, you should really take it, and she absolutely took it. A 3-3 draw between Canberra United and Newcastle. Further afield, Jackie Hand has a new home. We spoke a little bit about this before Christmas and where she might end up. Lewes FC in the second tier of English football. I don't know. Were you a little bit surprised that she didn't go somewhere a bit more high profile?
Yeah, I was, and I said this to you. I think, Piney, I expected maybe something a little bit higher, maybe in the States, or maybe the WSL and the top tier competition in England. Maybe a bit optimistic from me, but at least, she's on the move, and no doubt she'll be picked up from one of those top clubs in the next couple of seasons.
Yeah, and I mean the fact that she's going to get some football, which is and in the UK as well, it's you're almost front of mind for those Super League clubs. They might see you play and play well and perhaps have a look at you. So we wish Jackie Hand all the best and look forward to seeing how she goes at her new club, Lewes FC. I see India Page Riley had 90 minutes the other day for PSV in a friendly against Manchester United. So good to see India Page Riley getting some good minutes. And Ben Waine has a new boss at Plymouth Argyle. His name is Ian Foster. It's not the same Ian Foster that guided the All Blacks, a different Ian Foster. But Ben Waine with a new boss there, a new gaffer, as he probably calls him over there. Hopefully Ben Waine can kick into 2024 with some minutes and some goals for Plymouth Argyle. He's another one who's going to be in and about that Olympics team without a shadow of a doubt. Under 23 team, of course, picked for New Zealand in the men's side of the Olympics with 3 overage players, but Ben Waine under 23, so no doubt he'll have certainly a part to play, a big part to play in Paris later in the year. All right, Bonnie, well, we've got through the first one of 2024. I think we did okay. No major mistakes, although I'm sure our listeners will let us know if we've forgotten anything or gotten anything wrong. Hope you have a great week. Unite round to look forward to in the A-League men's and women's in Sydney this coming weekend. So we'll reconvene next Monday and break it all down.
Yeah, let's bring it on.
Football fever. For more from Weekend Sport with Jason Pine, listen live to News Talk ZB weekends from midday or follow the podcast on iHeartRadio.